Hey y'all, hey. Your girl is live. Happy Saturday, y'all. All right, I'm trying to get over here to Facebook land so I can see.
Live.
That's how I know I'm live. Okay. Yep, that's how I know I'm live. I have to have another device over here so I can see on Facebook what's popping and who's on because I'm doing this from StreamYard. Hey, Miss Annette. And honey, I don't ever know. So this is what I need y'all to do, my YouTube folks. So because this is what happens. I think on Facebook you get notifications when I go live, but on YouTube, in order to get the notifications, as I understand it, what you have to do is subscribe to my page. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe at Coach Tuka. And then you have to click the little bell so you get notified when I go live. And that's how we get a party started right there. All right. So y'all, I'm sorry for being late. I think it's 9 o'clock here, so that means it's 10 o'clock for my East Coast folks. So if you West Coast, this might be a doable hour for you. But y'all know that Bruno Mars song, "Today I Don't Feel Like Doing Anything, Nothing at All." That's the kind of day I had. I got up this morning late. Let me tell y'all, I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. Feeling like it was a regular like work day. So I'm like going through my morning routine. I'm telling my husband, wake Aiden up, and he like, why? And I'm like, because it's 6 o'clock. He's like, it's Saturday. I'm like, oh, yes. Thank you, Lord. Because this is what I do every day. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And so I lay back down until about 8:30, and it felt so good because I don't ever get to sleep that late. Hey, Miss Joyce, I don't ever get to sleep that late. And so I slept until like 8:30, then I slow rolled around, got up, and couldn't decide. Did I want to go for a run or do I want to hop on my bike? Well, the weather was really, really nice. It started off like 40 degrees, but it warmed up to a smooth 60. And I was like, oh, I know. I know she got her own missing this because she came back and said she found. I'm gonna tell y'all this story too. But so anyway, couldn't decide, did I want to hop on my bike or did I want to go for a run? So I decided to go for a run. I left the house. I said I'm going to do about 4 miles. Ended up doing 7.65. One of the goals, one of the things I'm working on is increasing my mile time. Um, I have been, for those of you who don't know, I used to do marathons many moons ago, and I've done 6 full marathons, but more half marathons than I can count. And all of them were very slow, probably not much faster than like 12 or 12 and a half minute mile. Um, so last year, I think it was 2022, I think it might have been February of 2022, I really worked and I trained to improve my mile time. And I did the fastest mile time I've ever done was like 10 minutes and some change, 10 minutes and like 30 something seconds. And I was so proud of that. And got used to riding my bike. And so my mile time has slowed down. And so I'm back training to get my mile time back together. So my goal for the month of November is a 12 and a half minute mile, whether it's my daily run or longer run. So that's why I pushed it to 7 miles and 7.65 miles. And I hit that, I hit 12:22. So I felt great. Came home, showered, and did nothing else for the rest of the day. I promise. So I am very well rested and realized that I had to do my live because remember, we're going live every day in the month of November. So here I am. I had to think of like, what did I want to talk about? So it took me a minute to get that together. And then I had to slap some water on my head. So here I am, y'all. But listen, I want to tell y'all this, and then I'm going to get right to what I want to talk about because I still have to work out my second workout. It's a long story. Anyway, um, listen, I'm doing fruit and veggie with some friends this week. And at my local store. So now I really feel like before Rochelle started recommending Newman's Own oil and vinegar, it wasn't popping like it is. But now, today, when you go to the store, first of all, it used to be under $3 for a bottle of Newman's Own. Newman's Own is almost $5 a bottle at my store. So last week, I'm gonna pay my friend told me to make a like a YouTube short. So I'm gonna make a short or a reel off of this. I went to the store a couple of days ago and Newman's Own was on sale, 2 bottles for $7. And there might have been like between 6 and 8 bottles of Newman's Own. I got them all. I cleaned out. And so my friend goes to the store today and she's like, everybody must be doing fruit and veggie this week because I've gone to 2 stores and there's no more Newman's Own. So I sent her the video. I'm like, well, the one you went to, this is why they don't have any because I got them all. And so she told me tomorrow, she said, I'm gonna need you to bring me some Newman's on. And I was gonna do it, but she found some. She went to another store, she found some. So okay, y'all, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that a lot of times we have things that we want, and it's clear we all have things that we desire, things that we want to get better at, and we're knowing that like where we are right now, that's not all there is. So like before I started my health journey, even when I was still eating Chick-fil-A every day and eating Oreos, like the way I felt in my body, everything in me was saying, this ain't living, this ain't it, right? And I feel like whenever you have this frustration or this sort of like agitation where you feel like this ain't it, this ain't the jam, right? And you know that there's more to life in this area than what you are experiencing. A lot of times we have that moment, but we don't do anything. So as believers, it's real easy for us to put it in God's hands and wait on the Lord and ask Him to do something or bless us in that area. But God waiting on you. You waiting on Him, and He waiting on you. He waiting on you to take the first step. See, we can't forget that first step is an act of faith. It means, God, I'm gonna move, not knowing what you're gonna do with this. I'm gonna move, not knowing how it's gonna turn out. I'm gonna do this, not knowing how the end gonna be. But when you are doing what God told you to do, so these are some things that you need to remember when you're looking to grow and develop in an area of your life. The first thing you gotta do is prayer and worship, right? How else are you able to have time in your day where you can hear, connect, request, talk to God, have genuine conversation with Him? See, a lot of times we think, and I do believe in the power of like falling on your knees and in a place of surrender before God, but prayer don't have to be all that. Prayer could be simply, I'm sitting right here, I shut out everything and I talk to God. So if you're not talking to Him, you don't even have a clear indication that what you're asking Him for is His desire for you. So that's the first thing before we even consider what the movement needs to be in that area. We want a spouse or a long-term relationship. Is that God's desire for you? Is that person God's desire for you? So you need to be in communication with Him, right? Carving out time in your day so that you can hear from Him, so that you can talk to Him, make your request known to Him, but also hear what He's saying to you. And not these one-sided conversations where we genie them, where we be like, Lord, give me this, give me this, give me that. I want a big house, I want this, I want this, I want this. Not that grocery list of stuff that we want Him to do, but where I really surrender, where you're asking Him, God, what is it that you want me to do? So I had a conversation with my son today because I thought about the power of words. And this happens a lot of times when I used to, work with kids. You would ask a child, like, what's amazing about you? Grown people, we can ask grown people and they had the same issue, but I did it with kids. Like, what's amazing about you? And a lot of times kids struggle to articulate what's good about them. Like they don't know how to say this is something really good about them. And I feel like when you grow up and you don't know that these are the things that are amazing about you, you get disconnected from the fact that God created you for a purpose to do something with all the gifts He gave you. And if you don't know what they are and you don't think they're amazing, what are you gonna do with them? And so I was talking to my son today, and I was like, "What's good about you?" And I tested that joke, and I said, "What's good about you?" He said, "I'm creative." I said, "What creative mean?" He said, "Make stuff up." Because I talk to him this way because I want him to know that like you're not just here. You're not just here just to be here. You're not just here because you're cute. You're here because God created you to change the world. And so the same is true for us as adults. And I think we forget that in all of the daily in and out, doing this, running here and running. There's a purpose. And if we never take the time to ask God what that purpose is, what it is that He wants us to do, how do all the things that we do, that the directions and the decisions and the action that we take, how do we move from that? It's on our own, it's on what we want. He's not gonna bless that. All right. So the first thing you gotta do is get into regular communication with Him. All right, regular communication with Him. So I'm not perfect at it. There are seasons in my life where I'm on, I call it tag time. I read this book years ago called 90 Days to Becoming the Woman That God Wants Me to Be. And in it, she calls it time alone with God. And so in my schedule, I just write tag time. And it's just my time with Him where nothing is distracting me, nothing is getting in the way, nothing is keeping me from hearing his voice. Sometimes it's just listening to prayer and worship music just to get me in a place of like being able to hear him, to feel his presence around me, to make my request, even if it's just to thank him, even if it's not to ask him for a single thing, just to thank him. So find out where in your day you can make, before you set any goal, you're going to have to know who told you to do that. Who told you to do that? Was it you that told you to do that? Because if it's you who told you to do that, not saying it's wrong, but it ain't in the will of God. So you can't be in his will without talking to him. And a lot of times people who have not encountered him will ask me, well, did you really hear God? Was it the voice of God? And I'm going to submit to you that when you talk to him regularly, you'll know his voice when you hear it. And so if you haven't felt like you hear God talking to you, just keep talking to him. And when it happens for you, you're going to know it's God. All right. But it'll never happen if you don't make the time to have regular conversation with him. All right. So prayer and worship is where you got to start. All right. Next is moving. So God sends us, opportunities all the time. He sends us signs. He sends us opportunities to move, to take the next step. And we don't always take them because sometimes there's like an inner doubter in all of us. It's up to you how loud you're going to let that doubter get, though. We all got one. It's like, nobody should do that. And you've got to be able to know, like, okay, should I ignore that voice or should I move on? See, and that comes from talking to God. But a lot of times, hey, Uncle Greg, a lot of times when you take that next step, it requires you to have faith. So when I started my health journey, all of the testimony that I have experienced that I'm able to just rattle off as if it were nothing. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know that was going to happen. I had no idea. I really didn't know if I was going to lose the 50 pounds that I came for. But I was trusting God to give me what I prayed for, because for 15 years I prayed for vitality. These are the words that, not even knowing how to get it, but God, I know that I'm supposed to feel vitality. I have a great aunt that lived well into her 90s, almost to 100 years old. And her entire life, she was a woman of vitality, like in her 80s, climbing up on ladders so she can get her curtains down and wash them and iron them. And so I knew that that was possible. I didn't know how to get it. And you don't always have to know how to get it. Y'all say hey to my Uncle Greg. Greg Hawkins is my uncle. Yes, this is my mother's brother. Yes. Yeah, come on. And I don't even know if he really do Facebook like this. So that's why I get excited when I see him on here. So I'm just saying, I knew what vitality should look and feel like. I didn't know how to get it, but I asked God for it. The rest, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about the detail. He does the movement, but I took the step. So the step was to reach out to 2 people that I knew, because I wanted some shakes. 2 people that I knew that sold these shakes that could stop me from eating. Because I would start off great. I would start off really good in the morning with my first meal of the day. And then somewhere around lunchtime, things just would unravel. And it was in my line of thinking was, okay, if I could just get this morning thing together and get off to a much better start, not the yogurt and all the, which I thought was healthy, but if I could change that, this thing could maybe work out. So I need to get some different options. So I knew the shake deal would be like 2 shakes a day and a healthy dinner. So that would put me on some kind of routine or some kind of schedule. That's all I was looking for. God did the rest. God did the rest. What Rochelle said to me when she called me, that wasn't her regular spiel. You think she said that by coincidence? You think she told me, one, you don't need a coach. You don't need no shakes. You need a coach because you don't know what you're doing. I got something that can help you. She was praying at the same time. You see this? See, God is already orchestrated. Somebody praying for you to show up. You know what I'm saying? So God already orchestrated on the other side, and you trying to work out all the details that ain't even your business. You know what I'm saying? So when I reached out, you don't know that God told her to FaceTime me and she was obedient. You don't know that God told her to tell me the whole truth about me and she was obedient. So a lot of times God's just waiting for you to take the step. And so you don't know what all the steps are going to look like, but you just need to move. So I was watching in my I don't feel like doing anything today. I was later doing a whole lot of Facebook scrolling and I came across this what are they called? The little videos that they have on Facebook. I can't think of what they're called. They're not reels, videos, I guess. Hey Jeanette, I don't know what they're called. But you know how you're on Facebook and they have the little videos. So it's a video with Steve Harvey, and some of y'all have probably seen this, but he talked about how I'm assuming he was essentially homeless, living out of his car. He said that he would park at like a fancy hotel like the Ritz-Carlton. He said the reason why was because they would have these like linen baskets full of towels. And he said he would wet all the towels up and go in. He said the bathroom doors went all the way to the floor. So I'm assuming nobody could see under the door. There's a man in here literally like washing up. So he says that one day they had an event. And so he said he would go into the stall and soap up and wash off. And then he'd come back out, get some dry towels and go back in and wipe the soap off. He said this particular day they had some kind of event. So the activity in the bathroom was like, I guess people coming in and out, moving all the time. And he couldn't get out. He couldn't get out to dry off. So he said he sat there, just cried, and said the soap ended up drying on him. So he said in that moment, he was like, he said he was in, I think he said Pensacola, Florida. He said, I'm gonna go home. This isn't working. I'm gonna go home. So he said, I think he called his dad to say he was coming home. I get fuzzy on the, hey Cecily, I get fuzzy on the details, but he called his dad to say I'm coming home. I don't remember why he don't connect with his father, but ends up getting a voicemail from somebody at the Apollo who says, hey, listen, I've seen your tape or seen something you've done and you're funny. And if you can get here, he said it was like a Thursday. And they said, if you can get here by Sunday, we got a spot for you. He said he had $35 to his name. He said, he like, man, is this some type of joke? Because I got $35 I can't get from, Florida to New York. Hey, Rochelle, he said, I can't get from Florida to New York with $35. He says he goes back in for whatever reason, and there's a second a second voicemail from somebody who's local or was like close by, somewhere in Florida that he could get to with $35. That said, hey, we need you tonight. I think tomorrow, like that Friday night and Saturday night. He said he made, I think, $300 and he took that $300 and that's how he got to New York. So all I'm saying this to say is that the Steve Harvey we saw, for those of y'all who remember Steve Harvey on Showtime at the Apollo, that didn't just happen. He broke down the whole story about how he even much got to be the host and how he told them how he wanted it to go, because he was saying the crowd, like you had these warm. He said he gonna be no warm up acts, just him, because basically you have a terrible warm up act and he got to get the crowd back hype. And he was like, the Apollo, y'all know, he said the Apollo ain't nothing to play with. And so I'm just saying all that to say that there is no way in the world that Steve Harvey could have known that from that moment, that day, when he was sitting on that toilet crying, covered in dried up soap, that he would be where he is today. There was a part of him that believed for more. All God wanted you to do is take the step. You know what I'm saying? All he wants you to do is take the step. So he presents these opportunities. He uses people, right? And that's another thing I want to say, like, get your mind off of yourself sometimes. Sometimes we so busy about me. We forget to make these deposits. Well, don't forget that that's how God blesses you, is through people. And if you don't have enough deposits out there, you won't be able to make no withdrawals. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But I'm just saying, like, a lot of times we're praying and 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 God do and God do. No, you do. You do. You take a step and watch him bless it. And don't take the step and be like, okay, God, I'll step and I do something. Take the step in faith and just keep moving. Take the next step, because there's no way that you can orchestrate each one of these steps and what's going to happen as a result of them. And it's not your job to. Because if you knew that if I did A, then B is going to happen, then C is going to happen, then D is going to happen, that ain't faith. That's not what faith looks like. I believe God for what he said he going to do. How he going to do it, I don't really know. But I know he told me it was going to be good. How it's going to be good, when it's going to be good, who going to make it good, I'm not sure about those details. But I trust him enough. And the truth is, if we look back over our lives, like, he's been more good to us. No, it hadn't been perfect. No, it hadn't been exactly the way it's planned, but it's some things that we could have gone through. And my husband, he always says this, somebody kind of challenged me on it, because my husband always say it could always be worse. And somebody said, well, it could always be better. And that is true. But a lot of times people don't even get to see how much better it could be because they so focused on how bad it is. So as bad as the situation looks, know that it could be worse and trust God to make it better. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I really got tonight, is that in all of your praying and asking God, what you should do, first of all, you need to know that for sure. You need to know that what you're asking him for is what he even wants for you. I could think of so many things, even past relationships that I've been in, that I wanted, but God didn't tell me that. And when I look back and think about how I moved, because this is how I wanted to move, and I really didn't consult him on the movement. I just moved because this is what I wanted to do. And then when it don't go right, I'm sitting here looking like, well, wow, that didn't go right. But you didn't ask God no way. You didn't ask him no way. So in all of our asking and praying and wanting God to move, take that same energy into asking God to reveal to you what are the things that you should be doing, because there's opportunities that come your way every day, and we sleeping on them. We sleeping on them. Okay. All right. So I think that's all I got. Hey, ZD, I'm about to close, girl. I'm gonna live my first Baptist close. So just remember that these are things I said: prayer and worship time with God, spending time with Him. Because if you're not doing that, you can't even have an indication that what you asking Him for is what you even supposed to be having. Because this might be what you want, but did God say that? The next thing is moving in faith, trusting Him more than you trust you. All right. And this is another thing. That's the source of a lot of our stress. A lot of times, good night, love. A lot of times we are stressed because we're thinking about what I can do. So when I think about Tanisha's strength and what Tanisha can do, that's a lot. It's exhausting. That's how I get doubtful, because I don't know if she can do it. I don't know. She get tired sometimes. She had days where she don't feel like doing anything. So it's never going to be my strength. It'll always be His. So trust Him, move in faith, take the next step, and put you some deposits out here with these people you're doing life with, so God can use them to bless you. All right. Before I go, I want to make sure I let y'all know that on Monday, we're 2 days out. I'm super duper duper excited. We are having our Happy New Year Now webinar. So some of you praying to God for, He didn't tell you to wait till January. I know that much. He ain't say waste 2 months. Because see, all these days that we waste, that's nothing. Wait until January, that's a waste of days. All right. All these days that we're waiting, we can't get them back. So if we sit here and say, I'm gonna start after the holidays, you didn't waste 58 days that you can never get back in your life. 58 days that you could have made progress. 58 days you could be closer. 58 days you could have took your first step of faith. And no, you might not get the whole, goal accomplished, but you most certainly can make some great traction and start making movement. So Happy New Year Now webinar. We're going to talk about how to put these dustin goals off that you had at the beginning of the year, how to get clear on what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. Miss Annette, do you have a link? If you could drop the link for me, that would be amazing for my Facebook people. So the link is bit.ly/Happy New Year Now. And we will be kicking things off on Monday, this coming Monday, November 6th at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Eastern. And I would love to see you there. It's going to be a party. For those of you who did register, I just sent you an email, just a reminder, so you can put it on your calendar, and I will see you then. So I absolutely love y'all to life. I want to thank my friends who were confident that I would find something to come on. This is what they're trying to say. They were like, you're going to find something to talk about. And sure enough, I did. So, yeah, thank y'all for hopping on with me for day 4 of our going live every day in November challenge. I might keep it up longer than November. We're gonna see. I just gonna take this one thing one day at a time. All right. So I love y'all to life. And prayerfully, I will see you tomorrow. But prayerfully, I will see you on Monday. And Happy New Year now. See you guys later. Peace.